right, haven't done a scouting video for you guys in a long time, so I figure got a little afternoon here to scout. Figure bring you guys with me and see what we can find. We're in the hills of western Wisconsin here, just by the parking lot. Didn't look like there was a lot of human pressure coming in here, and the access trail didn't have a lot of human sign on it. It was a property that I drove by a couple times during the rut, and nobody was hunting it. So I figure start doing some scouting on this property. I'm calling it postseason scouting, even though we have a little season left. I'm not Dan Infalt or Andre DeQuisto or any of those big buck killers. I'm just a guy who's had some moderate success in the hills and have a lot of good experiences to share with you guys. So let's attack the hills here. Let's go. All right, just on the first point of interest here, what I look for in the hills, and this has been well documented by others, is points or bedding ridges overlooking the parking area. This point has, I don't know, some old sign on it, not really much for beds. So we're gonna cross this one off the list and move to the next point of interest. All right, guys, just got to a second point of interest here. Found a little bit of pressure, found a homemade ground blind, but who knows when the last time that's been hunted. Didn't look like it was hunted this year. And something that drew me to this location isn't necessarily what's on the public, it's what's on the private. On the private side, there's actually a food plot along with a soft edge. On that soft edge, I could see does or bucks bedding there. And you got a cut that runs up to that soft edge and the food plot where it's going to pinch those bucks down when they're cruising. Just something that I like to look for. 3 habitat types with some sort of cut or a draw that pinches those bucks down during the rut. So good spots to be sitting. We're going to go investigate the spot more. Something that I wanted to add is just don't look at what habitat's on the public. Look at some of the habitat that's on the private. Just a quick point right there. Well, got to the food plot edge and we got a rub right there and another rub right here. Not the biggest sign, probably made by a 2-year-old, but it's good to see some buck sign. We're gonna push on into that little thick edge over there. All right, so I got a humorous story for you guys. At least I think it's funny. So I'm by that private land food plot, you know, that soft edge, everything you look for good bucks. Well, there's only like 1.5, 2.5-year-old buck sign, not a lot of it. So I continue to work in the property. Find this public parking lot. I had no idea it was here. I was like, it makes sense. Must be a lot of pressure. So I was like, there's some pretty good habitat around the parking lot. Just a small little chunk of like thick stuff, mixture of a lot of different types of shrubs, trees, and whatnot. I'm like, I better walk that downwind side or the other side where the parking lot is. So I'm walking, find a good scrape, find a couple good rubs, found another scrape. Actually has urine in it right now. I just heard something crash off. I think it was a pretty good buck that just crashed off. So I don't know, it comes to that age-old theory. The deer are where the deer are. So just a quick little story. Let's get back to scouting. So I'd most likely, just based off the sign, hunt this during pre-rut, rut, and post-rut. Just based off the scrapes, the sign, the amount of rubs in here. What tree are we going to set up in? Well, we got a cut right there. There's a trail just above the cut. We got another trail up here. So you got 2 trails within, I don't know, 10 yards of each other. Our wind's going to be blowing that way because that way will be the leeward side. We got a tree right there. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. It's that one right there. Get 4 sticks up, get fairly high, have some back cover right there, and your wind will be blowing right down the valley, and you'll be able to shoot these bucks. And we'll be accessing it from that direction, but if you just make a straight line right to the tree and just shoot those bucks right as they get to your scent trail, I notice during the rut sometimes they don't even care about that because they get dumb, but I don't know, that's the setup. Well, just hop off that field edge. We got into a little saddle here. We're starting to find some hammer rubs. love finding hammer rubs, hammer bucks. But anyway, one thing I like about a saddle is that you can kind of hunt either one side or the other side on a lot of different wind directions. And in this instance, I could hunt it with the north or south. Say if the wind's blowing out of the north, hunt the south side. Say if the wind's blowing out of the south, hunt the north side. So we're gonna pick out a couple trees here, and we're gonna move on to this point. That's where I think the bucks are coming from. That's where I think they're bedding. Looks fairly thick, and it's the most remote spot on this property. Believe it or not, the sign's better on the public than what it was heading on to the private. I think there's a lot of pressure on the private. They have stands, blinds everywhere, so we're gonna keep on investigating here. So we got a trail right here, got the scrape right there. I'm looking at setting up right in that tree right there. Wind will be blowing that direction. Wind will shoot down in the valley. And on the other side here, we'll probably set up, I don't know, probably in that tree right there. Wind will be blowing that way, right in the valley there. So get pretty aggressive with saddles here. That's a quick point. Got out to this point here and found a bed. Just I think it was bedding here really recently. Just put your hand in there, feel if it's warm or not. I'll tell you, they've been in there really recently, like where you just bump them out. Bud taught me that. Just want to make that point. On the point, get it? I know, that's bad joke. Well, got a bed right there, bed right there, bed right there. Then a circle, Doe family group. Had some similar beds off that point. Then up on top there were some doe beds. And I found a couple bigger beds in there. I don't think this buck's in here like most of the year, but I think during that pre-rut, rut, post-rut time period, I could see him get locked down off this point with those. And he's got scrapes on that saddle working to that field. So figure I'd just fill one of the buck beds here that I found. So he's right there. So on these steep hills, they have a hard time bedding like on the downside or the downhill side of the tree sometimes. So I've noticed that they go on the uphill side just for something level to bed on. And he's looking down in the valley here on those does. That doe family group's bedded right there. So he's right next to him, monitoring them in case they go into estrus or anything like that. So, and sometimes if the pressure comes up from the bottom, they'll have the tree right in front of them so they can't be seen, then jot off into cover that way or that way. So, well, just heading back to the vehicle. It's gonna wrap up today's scouting session. I know these scouting session videos aren't the most exciting thing in the world, but they're a way to learn from each other, bounce ideas off each other. Today picked up 2 spots. You're either gaining ground or you're eliminating ground when you scout, so we'll give a thumbs up to that. And I guess a couple points to take away from today's scout session is looking for unique features. Like today it was a public land parking lot, pinching down the deer because there was that cut, whatever. It's funneling down the deer during the pre-rut, that sort of situation. I've had a couple other situations like that where a hotel next to a piece of public has pinched down deer, railroad trestles, what else? Bridges. I've had some spots where the only way for the deer to cross is right underneath a bridge. So just looking for those unique features. You guys should comment below and tell us what you guys have seen for unique circumstances during the rut where it funnels deer in movement and whatnot. And I guess my other takeaway is don't be afraid to get aggressive on those the saddles, where you can, hunt it with maybe a south or a north. You just gotta hop on whatever side you need to go to. I mean, anytime you have those days where you get a lot of wind switches where it goes from north to south or east to west, you can just hop back and forth. So don't be afraid to get aggressive on those saddles. So that's my takeaways. Hopefully you guys learned something. We'll see you on the ice hopefully next. Out.